to the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sogata and knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for it. When I was supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth. You paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With supreme signs, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one God to vastness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. So I liberated and also show the path to liberation. The holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts. To you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha. Homage to the Dharma refuge. Homage to the great Sangha. To all 3, ever devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms in all aspects. With supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is a teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp. An illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble. A dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing. Subdue the faults and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Page 15 for the Heart Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagawan was dwelling on massive Altus mountain in Rajgriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagawan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perfection. Also at the time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya of Kachivara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya of Kachivara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? That and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya of Kachivara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. Form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomena. There is no I element and so on, up to and including no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance and no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. There is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Sharaputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment and reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as a truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Kayata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisoha. Sharaputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya of Gachavara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that. It is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you've indicated. Even the Tadikas rejoice. The Bhagavan, having thus spoken, Venerable Sharadvataputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya of Gachavara, those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised at spoken by the Bhagavan. Page 25 for the mandala. Saje poke judge me dog drum, re robling sheen again party. Sange jing do me teo agi, dropping nam daxing la cho pasha. Jetsun lama dumpa ki nam ki, chokuka la kense chen jigni. Jeta sampe do jazit mala, sake choke chapa bhaktu so. Edam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamnayatayami. Sange Charan Sake Charam La Jancho Baru Dang Kapsuchi Dagi Chin Ge Peso Namki Chola Pincher Sange Dropasho Sange Charan Sake Charam La Jancho Baru Dang Kapsuchi Dagi Chin Ge Peso Namki Chola Pincher Sange Dropasho Sange Charan Sake Charam La Jancho Baru Dagi Kapsuchi Dagi Chin Ge Peso Namki Chola Pincher Sange
Angin Dijin Do Jong Lo Mewa Jimewa Chiwa Mewa 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 Dome. Ade de me de me do wa ni de ma so la sunje ma ni de ma de la cha de do ni ni je zo ne je ve la ji je ze ga je de de lo cha na le ma de je zo ma so de shi de. Wa de za la ma ro ma je da ge jo lo de de ne ko de chimbe ko de je. Ko zo do je mo do je do so os. Ma da za 굴론 검지 저라 굴론데다 통마 창조심 굴론 심바지고 오래 창조심 창사디 니 교연 탐제 바창 춥사디 연대 탐제 교연 가르창 오래스나 랑진지 또 갑디 태과 챔비오디 갑고 교연 추주디 랑진지 등 되자 시단 디모 굴론 가제라 소고데다 교연데 제바 창소라 춥사디 연대 투템바드레 Ndegi gyönyi jangwa chiwala, ane nga zo lo nyamli chidan xie gore, xie bala tuyo gore, tuyo yinza, an tanda tuyo de ranyi jibo ge, ane ki gyön saya mayinba. Ane gyön saya mayinba, che de shio simje tamje la pemba bashik duya ge che de. Ane Lam Rim nyingi yo chenche, gulung de ya woji seda yina. Ane gyawa lap chimo shivji sakre swa.
So we should conjoin our minds with the altruistic thought of bodhicitta, and this chanchup, or twofold purification and actualization of perfection. In terms of clearing away faults, one is primarily purifying self-cherishing, and within the context of the great vehicle, particularly we are getting rid of self-cherishing and all the other afflictive states of mind, removing them, desirous attachment, ill will, jealousy, pride, all of those. and then latterly perfecting all good qualities. And in order to remove such faults, one needs to know, one needs to study. In order to study, one needs to hear. So thinking one will hear, reflect, and meditate on this topic to remove one's faults and actualize good qualities, not just for you, but solely to benefit sentient beings. One will conjoin one's mind with bodhicitta.
아야 다 가오 검티링 안도다 제르무진 송딘데 자신부지 니기 중화디 여가 상부인 전으로 니 전환도 가시 다른 분의 물어다 용으로 어디 갈래저가 자고 최소 전 가오 공부를 했어.
We should rejoice that we have the opportunity to listen today to the speech of Lam Tsongkhapa. Fortunate in that regard. Some of us have driven a long way, put in effort to hear Dharma, also a point of rejoicing.
아야 다 먼저 단다 가발레데요라나 남지 자와 신이 된주스와 다 개베신이 된다 그런 바디 리그어다디 단다 베다 추기 추지고 말와다 세디게 윤데이나 기겐 야보지고다 기겐 야보지 된다 마시나 아니 롭달레지나 롭좀 마시면 되는데 차야 것도 아직 말해 대 단대 먼저 디 딜레장 세디게 디지도 자 말와다 저와 치마자 말아 텐드데 대어드비야 그런 거 sonza 아니 계획신이 텐주디 계좀 쉬어래 다 남기 자와신이 텐주 자와세고 윤제스나 아니 먼저 지 신레메도레 되게 자와디 감나 너무 참아 감도도 세상 자와야고 요나 템보 요나 아니 신야고 딱 아니 고시도 야고지 양걸로도 야고 용고도 하테나신 신이 된주 개개 된다는데 야고지 요나 아니 디지레고 탐제 베메드 투도레 소나미한테네사 디그리한테네차 와 제상으로서 개점을 쉬지 차례기 요레스로와데
We are looking at the correct reliance on the spiritual friend, which is said to be the root of the path. So then how to in fact rely correctly on the spiritual friend, not just in terms of Dharma, but generally in this life, one needs a teacher, because if one doesn't relate to a teacher properly, no knowledge will come, whether that's school or uni. But in this context, talking about correct reliance on a spiritual friend, not just for this life, but from life to life to life, those generations, that reliance is important, correct reliance. And why is it said to be the root of the path? Similar to the fact that if a tree or a flower does not have good roots, it would dry and wither. But if the roots of the plant are stable, good fruit and flowers will result. Will result in that. So it is said then, if one puts effort into correct spiritual devotion, then all good qualities are accomplished in an effortless manner. Also, one is able to accomplish a vast store of merit, and latterly purify non-virtue. And these things happen just by the way of correct devotion. So in that sense, devotion to the spiritual friend is very important.
Adelaya Sambe Dinju dan Jove Dinju Sirwa, Sambe Dinju Sim Gidendan, Tamo Zawa Tewa Jama de Kissing of the Dawson Bacherwa. Niwa ni Garinji Rinju Gune, ni Kubachawa said that Vision Tirindinema Doshanara.
Yeah. So now one can rely on the spiritual friend in terms of thought and deed, or thought and action. And we talked about last class that this first one of relying mentally is mostly to do with your faith. And then relying in deed or action is recalling the spiritual master's kindness. I think that's where we are.
Gadi Chidandi, da de Vijayan Tasharwa, Niwani, Hage Shenyi, the Gadi Chimukazu Imbase, da Yuring the Kowar Chamba, Towachos, the Danzo, Dark Manzo Kowala, Yuringun Chamde do, and it Dinalada. Kamjidi ni su zeje da yagoji lam yagoji le tiagi tabshi gijing chi yores ani yuring boshi ni demo ge dipsi ni lo warwa manzo da tuzu yuring boshi je demo mishi mongbe onge mi ji ni lo dena ni chawa kan chi do marwa dena shin da nang ranzo demo ge ni be dipje da chue dan tunbe chawa chin chi do go mare ani demo ge ni dile ya seba chi ni Dindegi ni Gadin Chambores. Tizama Siwe Jazana de Chingwa Jimbachewas, Siwe Jazu Kowe Jazana, Ma Ching Ma Tip, Tawana la Tim de Ya, Dumber Chinye, that is. In Lam Nembala Shuba, Lam Sambul Dumbachura, Manzo Lam Nembala, the Shug de Yora. Many Lam Nemba Sidu Karesinata, Tado Shedang, Aje, Simaji Jajan, Jage, any church to Lam Nemba. Tago de lam nyambas mixe dodo jilangas ke amare music the tayong go na nyomoj payong go na je simaji wecha go na de thong ambare ani chue chigi yesr wa chue shua chue chigi na de chadang ji go na wa chue shu ni chadang ji go na oda tu sam lam nyamba janja re ro lam nyamba thong nyamba ani lam nyamba de le 야, 아니 람상불라 덤버치기 계획이니 딱까지 시기가 따로 어떤데 덤버치기 요래스로 규제하는 임마모도
Yeah. So for those that are following, top of page 23, so remembering the teacher's kindness as to generate respect, that we have, coming from the Sutra of the Ten Dhammas, that we have wandered for a long time in the cycle of existence, wandered or roamed without, and then having come upon a guru in the context of us roaming or wandering a long time in cyclic existence, this is the time when we must wake up from that sleep of confusion, or wake up from that sleep of ignorance. The spiritual friend helps us to wake up from that state of benighted. And then, because under that context of being ignorant, we can't really do anything properly. We can't really benefit beings if we have this ignorance. So waking up from that sleep is the first analogy. Secondly, that pulling us out of the ocean of cyclic existence where we are sinking. Thirdly, that showing us a valid good path because we can tend to go down invalid paths. And by invalid paths, it means our minds are afflicted with jealousy, desire, attachments, aversions, and all of these. And this can happen as a condition for the production of these disturbing thought obscurations. Can happen when you meet someone or in your practice of Dharma, such types of mind can be produced. They arise. So really going from like a bad path, it says here, to a good path. No.
내가 시베즈를 징벌에 좋아하시고 먼저 아니 시베즈라서 먼저 정관진날 아니 대대위나 배대 징수되다 되자시단 무슨 그 징대여로 제자네 단대제로 무슨 단지자가 더 부스스바 마리면 배마진 군의 팀서 먼저 단다 단지기 자가 타오르지나라야 네 되자시단 팀무 타도 나게 뭐다 딘데 그란진 딘데 수 징대요 레스로 개외신이디 징바들레 터와체와나 개외신이디 지그레스 알아서 유령 보시네 내게 내가 냠타고나 시차대로 유몽가 나대요 심 디 네바들라 멘데니게 멤버나 시레스로 아니 되자라서 왜 군데 바로 시워치고 봐 아니 시워치가 다 메려지 되자다 콘로당 아제게 메야 바드네 테마 매 바드에나 아니 차링이 추자밥지 차오빠는 매마 세그로 되나시 저 생게 네 차당하게 야 직게된 저디 개외신이게 초기 차밥제 네디 시워치니다 딘데게 니까디 첨부 시워지레스타 어디 까딘 송용도 알아.
These are all points to recall how kind the spiritual friend is. The analogies continue. The fact that we're in a prison-like state, bound by the mental afflictions, disturbing thought obscurations, and as Lama Tsongkhapa says in his 3 principles of path, enveloped in the darkness of ignorance and bound by the chains of self-grasping hard to undo. So the spiritual friend frees one from that state of being bound by ignorance, grasping at true existence. And then there's also like a doctor. We have been sick a long time, suffering a long time. So spiritual friend is likened to a physician that heals the sickness. And finally, because our mental continuums are ablaze with delusions, it is like rain clouds that rain and put out the state of being of blazing these afflictions. Kindness.
동북거베 도그 롱탄도
Good.
네 디네 다기 게시 최마 왔으러 말아야 출신이긴데 아니 출근 연대 요새 때문에 당연하죠 연대 출근이다 지 연대 탐제 당연하죠 계획신이 됐던 거 레스텐데기다 출근 연대 연구에서 전주선배 줄라면 아니 전주선배 줘봐 딱갑디 대화 준비 출근염에서는 전주선배 줘야 된 거레스 아니 저는 좀 받아 인시 심직삼네 데려오나스다 근데 디송에서 전에 단다 직 가셔 지 라마 로벤 된데다 만나마 된데바데 아니 다저도 메시지도 왜 마음바라 된데 넘버 담을 된지 피긴 송여와 뭐 된데로 송여서래 한 대자마세 대다지와 다가 마다베다 먼저 아니 아마지 개좀부 제거와 디네부터 먼저 푸스해야 돼 많이 기도 마셔야 되다 개좀부 제거를 지나시 말아 연대 탐제 기회 마다베레스 네 연대 오마도다 오마르니 아니 야지 소견체와 나시 베데다 먼저 소견치니게 연다 마마 연대도에서 마마스도 부고다도 치니죠 부고다도 치니디가 뭐치고 대난시레스 전주인라에서 저와이 기시에다 네바도 아니 만조지 전주게 셈 정외 람송발라 때네 계획신이 되다기 만조게 네바도에 탑초시고레스 대자마세 가시 당 가실에 타지게 멤버다베레스 가서는 만조 초년에 전에 아니 제가 나지기 동네에 타도 걸어와 대나시 먼저 멤버스 이제 맨데네 아니 데 내가 내려 줘 지워 대나시 먼저 가시기 내려 타고 지워 아니 멤버들 그래서 왔다 도저 되는 도로 버리셔 당기 치던 도로 버리셔
Next comes the examples from the Array of Stalks Sutra, the first of which, that these are my spiritual friends, expounders of the Dharma, teachers of the Dharma, exhaustively teaching the qualities of phenomena, kind in that sense, and then thoroughly teaching the conduct of bodhisattvas, so also able to instruct bodhisattva conduct and bodhisattvas. With these thoughts in mind, I have come here. So with these thoughts in mind, I have come here refers to the fact that it says in the teachings that Shakyamuni Buddha predicted that in the future he will manifest or appear according to the dispositions of disciples as like a teacher, as a master, whatever they need. That refers to that. And then the next analogy is they're like, the spiritual friends are like a mother which gives birth to a child who gives birth to all the knowledge. And then they give you the virtues like a wet nurse would nurture an infant, similar to that. Next one, they cleanse me completely by means of enlightenment's branches. And then 6, they get rid of harm, potential harm that you could come across, stopping harms. And then finally, they are likened to doctors because they release you from the constraints of birth, aging, sickness, and death, which is a sickness. And the rest of it is kind of in type.
Dozi chabil hawan jajin das hawan bu jajin gi ta chawa pa gu yesro
Yeah.
da dewa yore darwa ya ji zo chawa pa ya di siri chen na jazu lang da ji mo she ge yorwa ya ji dinde ge hawan jajin sa ro da zo ge ya chawa pa ya dinde yor da de na shi da ke ji khoya de karo so na ani zo chawa pa na 로도 저도 게임으로 와 대나시 내가서 개회신이 그 최송인데 알아서 줄려야네 담배 취업에 도도야 다 개와미야 도 연구여러 와 디시기여러 된다라 아니 냐 다냐 되어서 다와다냐 다와냐 강하다 버와 가베 추는게 나와디 처와직내야 제 처와중에서 인 다와 치료 두고도 와 대나시 아니 개회신이 얘기 먼저 연년대야 마르 당겨래서 봐 아니 기회적도 니마세와다스와 시와 미든초 시와게 아니 니마스니 되나 아니 문바세라 테나시 어디든데 니마다 다와나시 제와나시 기든데 요레서 대표된데 요레스 가딘 첨부레서 뭐라
It continues. Showering a rain of nectar, they are like Lord Indra. So it is like that in terms of Indra. Yeah, some of these gods do have this ability. The analogy is if the rain is good crops will come. Similarly, if the spiritual friend teaches us Dharma, that causes the ripening of our virtues, the maturation of our virtues, and also the qualities if you rely on a spiritual friend, the kindness is that like the waxing to the full moon from the 1st to the 15th, the good qualities increase. And they show the side of peace, just like the bright sunlight.
다단 토라 리우 다와다스다 다단 토요인데 리우스니디나 루구마르와 그래서 다단 토요인데 셈바마투바체 대기어레 대기외신이 또게 나서 최송용데 최냠련체데 미딘초고 마투바체 이제 나서 스웨베튼 셰임바 스웨가스니데 네바다 동해다 가레유나 셈마투바체데 라과데 개외신이 그 최송용데 나서 오늘 셈마투바체데 리우나신 데트베던데 개외신이 또 용거레스 자주신도 미주심단 된서봐 오늘 자주신이 카카즈 투나 딩디 투구마르바 개외신이 된데게 네 셈마투바체 되게 된데 윤된 된데 요레스 네 용스 좀라 냠바다와데스 당소 님버스도 주단이 공부서로 주변되게 네 주단에 아니 미션 자주 파르디 개버식으로 와 대나시 먼저 아니 이게 외신이게 코와 자주 파르는 산제 있어라야 아니 개버식 님년바단다오레스 텐데 신이 노산 디원소 스타데 쉬는 노산을 담배 또 쓰게 된 거라
Mm. Continuing, when it comes to, or regarding friends and foes, excuse me, they are like mountains. So although it might seem one doesn't want a foe and one wants a friend, mountains in the sense that they are immovable. Recently, we talked on patience, the fact that the mind doesn't get perturbed or upset in the face of harm, in the face of suffering, in the face of one's Dharma practice. Spiritual friends are like that. They also have minds that are undisturbed as the sea, meaning that although there might be some turbulence on the surface, whatever they're saying, deep down, the sea is calm and not upset. They give perfect support, some say like boatmen. So this is likened to a navigator. The spiritual friend takes one across the ocean of cyclic existence to the shore of Buddhahood. With this in mind, I, Sudana, have come here. Sudana.
어디 다디네 마디네 손도 노산 전주선배 다게 산제세 대다 시시마 와시스 대다 대시 산제마 와다 네 더 산제 나시 산제 단다와 마바스디 산제 난다와 따고래 산제 다와들 두시 손도로 가딘지 차네서 거래 어디 덴바로와 그러면서 아니 산제 펜 단다 산제 좀 된데 가서 가오쳐 좀제 가래 산제 좀 된데 이 최송받은 가서 냠내 지기 좋은 인자 뒤제게 된 뒤제게 동에서와 디도 지금 요상 가서 산제를 가오치고 와 디나시다 단다 개외신이 돼 산제 나시 아니 다게 대신 산제가 와시스 아니 제가 딘데게다 가딘 짐베 가딘 지den게 로들레나 아니다 대다 줌진상다나 아니 산제 다와나 시용 그래서 대달 계획 셈대로 데려온 세상 전체지는 계획 셈 용어를 직된 교회 바보다면다 라미딘초 용이 바보나시레스 계획이 얘들어 네 권다 부스죠 아니 다라 직된베 또 대도 진이기 미기니 다 된대게 셈베 계획이 얘들라 아니 지 거딘지 딘지 거네 아니 다 거딘지 딘세데 유나 아니 린다한테 통한 거라 린다한테 통하는 것도 90리그라 tadi nenga chembore gadi chembu khazo yime de pendo chembu khazo yime samdana chimi chuen de chazar shitwa chikchila izang anzo tuzo de la danyam se de shuk chembu shuk sonza ani kujeb che de danyam me je tuzo danyam so je le khodo da manguje ani yenje so je le khodo da tadi gadi hamo de rindan de hamo inza ani chigwa ina ani jangwa me warwa are nyamba 이거 이나 먼저 밀로마다 라마 기겐도 참 냠바 이나 기겐 된 거야 매워 라마 된 거야 매워 가진 된 거래 냠바로 와 찍버로 와라 찍버 매자 된 거로 하면서 데 김진 리거다 된 거로 다 딩듀기 다냠도 야 가족을 잡나 아니 쳐라 대화다 추그린단라야 아니 부셔 매워차 린다 매워차나 아니 추그 냠도 도고제 요 말이 신신 말이라 법정 신 말에 마시는 냠네 지신 말와顶上 我这去我学习现了平台没问题对大当的那给人当拉玛当都做了他们那么没是没有上原的几个嘛来是嘛超级个呢좀 되면 좋아질라 송으로 당은 저 좋아슈라 먼저 배배미디 최다 냠년 쉬우치고 그래서 한 또고 지금은 도스로 또고 지금은 도스 가르래서도 제일 저게 또고 지금 말해서 그래서 개개인라야 탐맥 남으면서 따금면 와서 또고 제요 말했어 네 대바면도 또고 지금 말했어 어딘데서 조지게 돼 좀 된거를 랜드 교환도 와 근데 재산도 좋다 당하러 봐 된 당하러 다 내가 전부로 와다
Continuing on, page 23. With this in mind, I, Sudama, have come here. Bodhisattvas bring forth my understanding. Buddha's children cause enlightenment. These beings, these friends of mine, are praised by the Buddha. It is saying that these spiritual friends, they're likened to the Buddha because they can help us, like a Buddha, if we follow their advice of giving up non-virtue and doing virtue, then they're like a Buddha. So virtuous in that sense. As they save the world, they are like heroes. They have become the captains, protectors, and refuge. They are the eye bestowing happiness upon me. So the spiritual friend is like the Buddha, and if we value the spiritual friend's qualities and the kindness, then we get those results like the Buddha, like relying on the Buddha. But the point here is to recall, by recalling the kindness, then one comes to value the spiritual friend and then see the benefits. These days, there's a danger that we regard everyone as the same. This seems to be the time of equality in the world. But then there's a problem that if everyone's the same, then you don't respect those who have knowledge. If everyone is the same, why study at all? Because everyone has the same qualities. Then that follows that the Lama and the students all have the same qualities, and then there's no point in relying on them. So there's a danger in Dharma that it gets degenerated and devalued because we don't recall the kindness from the premise of not understanding the qualities of that the teacher might have, and subsequently no insights are born. So this is coming from a discriminatory mind that is able to see the kindness of the teacher like Buddha. But because we only see the teacher as ordinary, no insights are born. As Drom Tompa once asked a teacher, we Tibetans, why is it so difficult for us to get spiritual realizations? To which the teacher replied, you Tibetans, you only see teachers as ordinary beings. You have no faith, therefore no insights come as a result. So that's a really pith instruction for us.
就是当时生定的这些下当时候，每个都他们那么通过了，
Yeah,
教育你通过的，所以我呢，到底三阶段被要没是的，生这些下当的，我这是我的了。
yeah. So what's being said is that the Dushishadam, the mental attitude, the mental discrimination comes from deep in mind, even if you see your spiritual friend as having an ordinary appearance with faults. Deep, you keep that discrimination of them like a Buddha.
往西个三阶同样的个，原来三阶上面是通过嘛的吧？
Yeah, and that's because, you know, the sense organs being able to see a Buddha, that only happens when you yourself are a Buddha.
你爬过桥上呢，往西个好像通过没的吧？一个没学起了。
Yeah, and because, you know, once you're an Arya, you're probably seeing with your mind anyway, isn't it? You're not really seeing with your organs.
我的到300点左右的去，那你我900点左右的是，你我900点左右对吧？
Now, how to rely on in action is the bottom subheading, page 23. Yes.
那的拉玛就问了嘞，迪尔玛没话继续过，拉玛去看一个明年期间呢，一旦的了别的到，我就来源阶段就多几怎么你是，现在我谈这些拉玛原是你我查斯达，也就忙过学不写嘛来是了的，忙过学不写嘛来是，那么你不用呀，搞用呀，考虑呢，第几小时你搞没为那个的马去是的。 아니 가오유베 레가데 제베이나 아니 무릎 토고래 아니 라메 제스 디야 용거래 아니 라마다 도지 젬바디 용거래 아니 신내 뭐고 탐제게 아니 제 뭐다 유베게 초응으로 투뭉으로 상마 라마 예버 요거들레네 용거래 스토르드나 예버디 두 메예버디 치고 말해서 랍자도 디스 잡다데
The first source on page 24 comes from the 50 verses on the Guru. What need is there to say a lot of words here? Do everything to make your Guru happy, abandon everything displeasing him, apply yourself to that, examine that. So basically, if one is able to please the Guru, make them happy, all good qualities come from that. Don't make them unhappy. And all direct and indirect siddhis, meaning attainments, come from pleasing the Guru. It's pretty direct.
다 도르나 신내 뭐부 탐지 라만 시송고 도르나 예배 두바다 미니베 봉을 배워 저스타 예배야 돼 도미니 봉으로서 나 예배 두바데 녀도 저 칸데레라나 데라야 보숨 사진부바다 롱아기 인고 쳐바다 까신 두바 시제 예배 두단데 라데진 수미요레 서바
So this was said by Bhattadara himself. Spiritual attainments follow the Guru. Aware of this, use everything there is, and make your Guru absolutely happy. If that's the case, to try to please him and abandon what is displeasing him, then what does pleasing the Guru mean? Three things: offering material things, serving him, and finally practicing accordance with the advice. No.
디 콩딜라 도데젠레스 꾸디니와 다다 림로단 두베고네 신이 템바차스 다델라 당보 아니 상징게 니니와도 단데 카레라 윈도 당보데 상징이 니와도 베야데 나무가주발레 랑기 탐지글로베니 지민 부당 충마당 랑게 서기 단자데 롱조요 메오 지고 디진 산제 탐제라 다데 보바니데 디베스나 오사예와 솔레무드 셰송바 따르스타 상신부야들의 신다파전에는 소소 충마다 소당 룰당 롱주당 계자 탐제다 상신부야들와 어디에 송으다.
Okay, our first way to please the Guru was with offering material things, and backing up that again from the 50 verses on Guru devotion. Through things, this is talking about things, through things not given your children, your wife, and through your life, you should always rely on the master of your commitments, needless to say, through fickle possessions. So let alone just ordinary things, if you have to give up your children and your partner, or as it here says here, your wife, what need to talk about, what need to talk of other things, right?
Yeah,
there's a danger here. If you teach this in the West, you're in prison straight away. That's probably the case. Is it? It's danger, no?
Marwala lunga is Puiza and Marwagi. China that looting at higher, Chira Wanja Yomar sooner.
Yeah, you know, Miller had nothing to give Mapa. So Mapa said, well, you better give me your body, speech, and mind. You don't have anything else.
Mama, Gizit top yes, again $2 in your Terme, then Yamlin Bashora. Taramsala, some you were again, Italian Chusunga, you Constitution Tangadora, Italian Church Tangadora. I'm going to do the Manzo motion, but and the nether, Dilile Diliminju de la Pesha Jagra, Pesha Jaga, and Taramsa Ligra, Taramsa to do that. We pass the Chopin of Shujo, and it in it don't Pematansa, don't and shortage. Should you think Pesha in your some with 2 cases, near Pesha in your some with 2 cases. Actually, yeah, the Italy do I, Pesha Lamogish, Pesha Pinimo. I gave Pesha Tama, Jewaji did the original, the Tangashdayo, Marisa, Suriris, Kataji Dira, they got the Kataji, the Sergia de Nea, Guri Zana, she, the conceptual poo. And my lawyer said, that don't do it on that Ritudora, Ritu 10 euro that. Had 10 euro, Kalas and Yora, Gimpesha Jam on a Pesha and Orange Pizarro.
Oh,
And that 10 years Pesha Gidu Losan in the Pesha dimension. Again, Ding Aries, the Cheratam and Ding Aries, Cheretan, your song Aries. Cheretan, I am a Ding Aries. Someone proving in love time was. And there's gang in the Nangiores,
Gen Gimingla, Gen she,
she top 10, so again to
then
call
all
like
Gilead, yeah,
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 Pusuk
yeah. So, there was Genishi Topden, quite adept meditator, used to meditate in Dharamsala. Anyway, His Holiness sent him to Italy to teach. And in Italy, he had quite a few disciples. And anyway, coming back from, for a visit again to India, to Dharamsala, he asked his students to change money for him, change all the money for him, because they had to leave really early on the bus to go to Dharamsala. They're eating breakfast. And then he said, as they arrived in Dharamsala to the office of His Holiness, again, Topden said, bring me all the money that was changed. So they brought it to him and they wrapped it in a cutter and he gave it to His Holiness's office, all of it. But then he was going to go into a retreat. And when he went into a retreat, he had no money for veggies, to buy vegetables. So he said to one of his students, give me some money for veggies, please. And the student said, oh, we gave it all away, in that big pile to His Holiness. So that's what it was like.
And then a student has some money.
Yes.
And teacher said, you send this money, this is my money. You don't have nothing, man. This is all my money. I met this, I'm very close, this my teacher and Kishi came to dollars, very close. I met him often. He attended and told me this story, tell me story. 여자 근데 요를 따라와. 나 당한서 도와인데 제가 전에 당한 거 짜. 그 배자 보고도 딱 걸리 제거도 중간난도 유진래 다 도와인데 제가
Yeah. So that wouldn't be so easy to practice here if all the money was used, or like disciples' money was used.
아야, 나도 내 니와들다. 룽하게 닝구를 쳐서야 돼. 니 꾸니 티지에서야 돼. 꾸니 주보자야나 소 나스나는 와 주보자야. 계주 뉴야 줘야. 나스나는 내요 줘야. 섭지 줘야 됐습니다. 근데 대 연된 줘 봐. 게 연된 줘야 그 계주 물어. 연된 줘야 돼. 게 여거디 양게 두 진달로 가 줘야 돼. 이게 연된 줘나 아니 생기 연된 통할 때네 때 롬들로 주도 거라도 저 내가 레도 거라.
Yeah. So the next are serving the teacher respectfully with body and speech. Particularly this is referring to if the teacher is unwell and taking care of the teacher, cleaning, nursing and so forth when they're ill, massaging, and also talking about his good qualities. That's important because talking about the teacher's good qualities makes the path auspicious. It makes it easy for you to enter the path.
아드네 가신 두바스로 숨바 치다 담발레 미도와 두와임베 디니조인 스케럴레 펜벨렌데 초와초와 이 고베치신 양수는 바이스 다 가시 두베 추바사데 당원에 데 라메 송샤베데 냠nen시에 따디 캐치슈 어디레 송으로 따라와.
Thirdly, practicing in accordance with his advice, practicing without going against the instructions. This is being the main one. Yeah, this is a very important one, to practice in accordance with the teacher's instructions.
아드네 시바세 저런저는 시바도와 시바도 가르스나 템베 펜 이 공라 숨 가르스나 땡제 개베 신진 신이 땡제 롬베 신이 대시다 템베 추스다 먼저 대시다 템베 추데 투신 말해라. 다시와 템베 펜여서와 개베 신이 템베 펜여 가르스다데레.
Now we come to the advantages of correctly relying on the guru. So what we've been through is the definition of the spiritual friend and then the definition of the students and then how to rely correctly on the spiritual friend. And now the advantages of doing so.
다산 개베신이 때문에 펜데 산제 공방라 녀와 산제 조보 투베라 녀와 아니 자와나 아니 제워용야 봐 자와스도 산제도 녀워용야 아니 수수 자와데리 자와치마라 개베신이 이메포모 무요래 봐 아니 년도 미동하러 자와치마 개베신이 있으면 년도 미동 레응엠바다 뇨몽기 투바까와 와 아니 레응엠바다 뇨몽인데 나 되게 네 투비야 까워 전선이 저거다 미게시 텔라 템바단 템바 아 연den지 초 제도로 줄싱스 내가다 타도이 된탐제 두어서 연대 다 개베신이 템바이나 연대야 니만네 니마 제도 야게도 그래스 제가 디다 템베 편도 그래와
The benefits of correct reliance. You'll quickly approach the state of the Buddha. The Buddhas will rejoice when you rely well. You won't be, meeting spiritual friends won't be barren for you. You won't fall to low migration. You'll not be overcome easily by negative karma and afflictions. And then the qualities will grow higher and higher.
아니 시야 개베신이라 닝구베스르와 다 개베신이라 이지 닝구르 샵도 제별 때네 아니 년도 되게 소남 지어봐 근데 소남 뒤떡에서 그래 소남 뒤떡에 라니 년도 녀에 레지유나 겨와치망 년도 냐와지다 둔도 제약 레지사유나 아니 체딜라 먼저 류단 심라 네바 타모지 총이나야 중앙 야면나 밀람이나 되게 지금서 동행 요야 된대 주가 된대지 요이나 겨워치 뭐 년도 요야게 레디 뒤도 세도 요 스타핀 휴지래도 왔잖아 그거
Yeah, moreover, the correct reliance to the spiritual friend. If you have accumulated the karma to go to a lower realm, hell hungry goes to animal, that by your correct reliance on the guru, instead of that maturing as a lower rebirth, it can mean like a small wound on the body or suffering in a dream. So these are great benefits of correct devotion to a spiritual friend.
알아서 다 개회신이 지고 말해 파마 세디게 파마니라야 왜 샵지슈야도 개좀 쉬어라
Yeah.
근데 슈디 파마레 기겐레 졸라야 배 샵지슈 아단다 나라데스 도와지 데스 야고래야 딩마 겐라 샵지슈 야고 슈인 삼남다
Gompanang la
되게 소남 인제레 팅도 나다 징아라도 지 고야로보다 지 도야로보다 좋고 지 도비용도 와 단다 지 랑가로 지 야고르 지 도야로 상마다베 퉁인도 상마야 고제 지 소수 삼된 요데 도비용도 그러면 지다 제도 배제 알아 이제 다가나 곰발라게 다 괜자셔 모르겠라 샵지 삼번 남다로 겐롱차오 요르다 농사we 요래 농마고 된 자리 자그러다 책 도자 된데 라그러다 책배 도린 도제 라그래요 샤란서 있는데 이만이 있으면 별래 은혜래 자리 잡 카단체 년가 여러 거거 대화 제로 뉴메로 제가 된데 긴데 파마다 파마라다 요보다 치스트 정어마 주주간에 누구 때때 땅을 칼라만이 주주간 잠자가서 잘해자 저버 때에서 저버 여러 거 보고 부숨지도 누구 때 땅을야 겐론이야 파말라 로고 뭐체요 베샤스 요청 파말라 때래 만에 파말라 보다게 펜도 뭐체요 근데 지금 소남이 인사래 저는 이제 오늘 하는 먼저 고메나래 다래 개개하고 대니 미도도 지 주지 야고르지래도 딱 개개하고 마대니 개개 칼라마니 개개 카다니도 배 지강이 되다 파마다 그래 파마라에 요거 마주니 미도 배 누구 통도 와 당연하죠 미국 통화요 미국 통화요 제가 저희들 대제도 저 신이 된주도 삽서 됐어 삽서 치고야 계신 물어봐
Not only one should serve or take care of the spiritual friend well, but also the parents, teachers, one should serve them well, look after them. In the monastery, I think, and now I reflect on it, that latterly things have gone well in this period of my life was because I took care of my teacher in the monastery. Now I kind of reflect back on that. I have that experience. And that was not easy he was kind of really quick to irritate, a little bit windy, and he got really harsh speech. And I think if you guys attempted it, you'd only last 2 days and you'd be out of there. Because he was quite strong with the speech and easy to get upset. But no, I kept that degree of faith. And, you know, same like with my parents, although, because when we were young kids, we were rough. Our behavior was quite rough, and the parents hit us a bit. But we played, and then latterly I gave back to them. You know, I gave them money, I helped them out when I could. And certainly in the monasteries, that, you know, it became evident that those that served their teachers well, then latterly things went well. But those that did not really serve their teachers well, and these days when you observe it, parents, things don't tend to go well, do they? There's that lack of that happening today. So what's being said is around those two groups, one should take care. One should take care.
다들 저거는 눕죠 사월에 저런서 무슨 눕죠 그 따와든 데레스 디간을 캐용나 랑가 디간을 주두고 말해 다저 데스 저거 데스 겨울에 wal데 저거 자 눕죠 그 따와 디간을 캐용나 다 랑가 데도 소파라고 말해 주는 거라.
Yeah, I mean that we have to say in the West, you can't carry the cultural values into this type of attitude because they won't fit. You know, there has to be some flexibility, some change, otherwise it's hard to do.
The
To give an example, the Tibetan society prior to having Buddhism pervade there wouldn't have been like that. But then it softened. It kind of got the cultural mores of Buddhism.
어제 아니 세당 알아서 내 녀바 망고지 싸요래 내 대원게 겨와치면 년도라 제그래와 제산 단단 기회신이라 샤도야 보시나 손놈 쉐우치 싸거라 손놈 덮침 못 싸고봐 제산 내 미루도 아니 손놈 덮침 버디 미용으로 손놈 대도게 손놈 싸는데 니마샤와도 지금 니마샤도 문법 마세로 그러 대나시 내 녀바 세도 그랬어야 돼 근데 배진 거야요래 단다 le digdu thadang kalma wo shegi yorma zo digdu thadang kalma ni jig digdu thaya ge ni de gejo de cheyundi ani jig go na ya soro dende jig toge na ya soro suksija soro dende ni nilam na la din na na ya de ge ni ngendo le dende jawalen go se go dende ngo yor sa du zo ha ngazo chama suna ani sona mi shibje sa ga da pendo chimo shibje do wa
Yeah. Well, most importantly, it is that we have the karma or instincts, imprints to go to a lower realm, and correctly devoting to the spiritual friend and serving them creates big waves of merit. It is likened to the sun rising, dispelling darkness. We always talk about kartam, meaning, you know, to purify obstacles, to purify non-virtue. And what happens is the virtues melt the non-virtues so that they don't ripen, or if they ripen, you just got like a bad back or a bad dream. So once one has a kind of, how do you say, cognition or valid mind that can see that, then you see the merits and the benefit of devoting to the spiritual friend.
아니 산제 빠드메벌 연표에 계산함장 시기는도 그래 스텔레장 톱쳐
알레오리
김제 가래 라윈데 게베신일의 표비나 표에서 남직다 셰베서 남선남 니사베요와 어디 아니 저와지만라 게베신이 메폰 발라서 와다 된데기 표현 쉬지도 와셔단데
You know, it is said that there are enormous benefits outshine the roots of making offerings and the like to the innumerable Buddhas. So not only do you purify non-virtues, but it creates more merit than offering to all the infinite Buddhas by serving the teachers. So great benefits, as mentioned here, page 25 at the top.
다 덴베 편 야가 땡엔 송송 아 다마 덴베 니미신 좀 질려 열다.
So we've gone through all the good things. So what about the demerits of incorrect reliance? Should we leave that for next week?
신이 남 단달라시 신이 마덴베 니미로 한가 신이도 덴주 로나스로 신이도 체내라도 다서 개베 신이 덴 물린 체산에 덴주 로와이나 아니 가래 세대 내다 된다 두메서 내만 고용야 된수 모용야 파제만 고용야 디자마세 치마랑 연로를 연로 껴면서 동해 받으면 용거야 된대 용거레스
Right.
근데 송거래와
As I said, the faults of, if you don't rely correctly or you give up a spiritual friend, one gets sick, one gets harms, one gets obstacles. You have to experience the lower rebirths, and oftentimes the suffering is incessant.
근데 라마가 주벌레서 남양 로면 달라니 신도 심도 미차스와 로면 댄사는 심도 버든데 컨트롤해야 되는데 시기요 말레스 개대몽배 제주나 아니 딘데지 심도 버다 라메 까자보다 딘데 중위나 아니 냐와제레스와 냐와게와 지로야 냐와제는 냐와나메스니 딜라 지로야 아니 데다 냐와 덴바 카임바 로벨라네 마바나 데네 네바 양다시스타 데조 슝쿵네 셰고라 다나게 데월레자 세제 직zam년베자 다 라마 최마녀 수중원에 라메 두시 샤잖아 세제 직년베 이제레 라마 켈린사레 데 라마 다 라마 마다바체 아니 데지 라마 메젠바체 아니 지 카다이로든데 체나 딘데 지게 니 키제네 자 딘데게 레지게
Okay. So then coming back to the source of these, what happens if one doesn't rely? The 50 verses of Guru devotion: never agitate the minds of your masters, not at all. If you do so out of confusion, you'll surely roast in hell. Yeah, it was explained authentically that all those who disparage their masters are going to dwell in the horrific hells that were taught, like the incessant one. The incessant one is like the Avicii, isn't it? So then going on to the next point, that if you have already taken someone as your spiritual teacher and then you don't, later on, if you hear a teaching from them but you don't apprehend them as your teacher, then from that one karmic act, one can be born as a dog 100 times, and then as someone of low caste, as the verse says here. Whoever hears a single verse and does not apprehend the Guru will be born amongst dogs 100 times, and then as someone of low caste. That is, if you have already taken them as the Guru and then done that subsequently.
시야 윤데 마제바나 미제르와 윤데 사디 제가 말레스 제바도 냠로레스 대상 아니 미다 딘데 윤데다 대상마제 미기베 신예 된데 디베 토고든데 템베이나야 윤데 딥 윤데 페와 미드 윤 아니 딘데 용거레 디베 토고사야데 최시야라 파제 신이 미두즈 삼아 디베 토고레와 니 어딘데다 가시야 최 라마 가시 인사 최시 최디 셰연디 차단다 신고든데로 말아서다 낭바베야 오래사제다 신달 저 티진이 팀밀 쳐요 말에 시야든 초봉게 레레레 거와 아니 길루고베야 오래 닝마 가지다 쳐요 말다스와 아니 럽정 진달 핀도요 말시시는 초봉 차도 거와 근데 미게베 신이는 어두저래로
Okay. So the next 2 points are, apart from the excellent qualities that have not arisen do not arise, and those that have arisen deteriorate and vanish. So the further faults of incorrect reliance or giving up. And then the disadvantages of relying on non-virtuous friends. So again, if you rely on misleading or non-virtuous friends, your good qualities will diminish. Your faults increase and there will be results which aren't good. So this could be, for example, someone that teaches Dharma but says that, the Mahayana vehicle is good, but the lower vehicle with the root yana is not good. Or, Weegalupas are good, but forget about those other lineages that they're not good. So that could be an example of a non-virtuous friend.
와 추를 때니 차단제나 세게 작다가 담바도 지고 레라래 와 세게 작다가 담나 나서 당그러
Yeah.
니 차단 먼저 단단 먼저 취해야 돼 가르친 지고래로 와 대신으로 취해야 돼 먼저 차단 방에 취시고로 아니 취해야 돼 니야 되게 니 차단 계스는 아니 가르쳐서 맨 돌을 주었어 와 하트도 밥스 이 용어당 저 서자마시나 등산 다 된대 신이 망고요래 아니 인도상가라 수수게 예 로메게 진이 최라도 남쪽에 셰럽 되니 임바다 마임바 야와제 토지 거러와다 제자 디인도 단다 람린나라 아니 템바 탐제 게메도 왜 차와서 템바 탐제 심지기 되는 로에지 개와요 말에 수수 최근에시나 예 산제게 숭 탐제 심지기 디지 로에지들이 딜 개와요 말에 이 가담 봤어야 데려와 이기까지기는 수수 심주 되어 당할 kir시는 가담 봤어 가담 그 되는 데려와 최세 가인이 최가리 가지위나 사자이나 닝마이나 틱제이나 틱메이나 도이나 nga이나 가리나에다 두 상마 지 심주 되어 탑람 레샤서 고도비나 개와 카단지다 거래로와 최상디 고 김버지 거래다 나가도 람림게 제로 뭐진 로마이나 아니 단하죠 봐 신라 주주신다는 빼야 버려서 봐 단하죠 롭정시 대마주는 카단지요 말해서와 뭐 수세 아니 수세치기요 말해 수세잖아 디고사 조금 내서 조금 내도 디고 전부 다로
One wouldn't want to make one's Dharma practice through relying on non-virtuous friends. Make it so that you're bound by a gold chain, meaning that even though you've got a gold chain around you, it's still very painful. So, and then that means that the medicine has become poison, or the god has been reduced to a demon, as the saying goes. And there is that danger these days. The purpose of Buddha Dharma is to reduce desirous attachment and ill will, not to foster them with divisions and misleading teachings. These days, what's very important is that the students have the discriminating wisdom that can demarcate what is valid Dharma, what is not. And as it says at the beginning of the Lam Rim, all of the Buddha's teachings are not contradictory, because all of Buddha's teachings were taught to subdue the minds of sentient beings, to help them so that they get ultimate well-being. Not contradictory in that regard then. And kadam, like the seal of the speech or the word pledge, means that whatever Dharma it is, be it great vehicle or lesser vehicle, be it sutra or tantra, all have the same thing in mind in terms of that pledge, and that is to subdue the mind of beings. And that's for us as students of Lama Tsongkhapa, following his teachings. That's something that we have to be able to discriminate. We have to be able to know. Because if we're unable to discriminate properly and realize that all Buddha's instructions are valid, like it's stated in the Lam Rim, then we can get the danger of abandoning the Dharma, Chibungile, which is a big infraction.
다 두고 대다 그 돈도 봐서 되려와 다 돈도 셔야 저 돈도 잡고다
Yeah. Now the summary of these points, the top of page 26.
대단하서와 라멘nen조시 용수터베 당아 양아셔도 고고 이미고 튀어서 이미죠 라멘nen조스기도 라멘nen조스 칼라우스나 라마 되게 최송바데 아니 먼저 쌤데 되네마 아니 추억 냠랭간을 조트여게 당아들 라멘nen조스
Right. So That being so, the instructions widely known as Guru Yoga. Here, the teacher teaches and turns your mind to Dharma, and you follow in kind. Should also be understood according to what has been explained before. Yeah.
세상 나 닝타원에 최식 제나니 아니 만노 트베다 라마노 디니게 개겐직 된거에 케어 첨부를 했어와 근데
Yeah.
유릉부 된 거야로 아스 년대 직년을 핑거야 말어와 유릉부 된 거야 아니 데라 기시 체크에 된데서네 라마 땡주잖아 방도 유에 송바다 라마 땡주디 라마 수수를 틸라 유에이나 수수라 방도 그냥 용거레스 땡주 신나서 그래 땡주 마신나는 아니 년가 전부 요레스 케메베 경용거레스로 그래서 라마 신이 땡주디 개점부래 아니 신이 땡베 주고 디남 관례장 개제와 땡주디메 자원나서 아 개외 신이 땡주디 문에서는 추고 탐지는 딱 개치슈디 레스 제로마징 제단 델라다 배 sabzacho래 소래
Yeah. Now, what's important is that from the depths of one's heart, that one relies on the Lama who teaches the unmistaken path and relies on them for a long time. Yeah, you should long rely on a spiritual teacher who guides you unmistakenly. And then Geshe Chekwa says, in this context, knowing how to relate to the spiritual friend is indispensable. You have to know how to do it. When you rely on a guru, there will be doubtful questions whether to give up. Accordingly, since there will only be loss without profit if you don't know how to rely, meaning that it's good to know how to rely, it becomes evident that the cycles of teachings about relying on a spiritual teacher are more important than any other ones and the root of what you have aspired for. So this highlights the point from Lama Tsongkhapa that the correct devotion to the teacher is the root of the path, the source of all the Dharma.
다 오거스랑서 뇨모라고시 뇨모 망고 아니 진내 신이든지 미신 신이든지 신자야 레로왕의 신이 메데 아 근데 망고지 체인데 아니 근데 제 계획 망고진의 최니 두머진의 최니 아니 라마 덴베 카노마오도다 라마 덴다 마시 당보디 덴다 신에야 덴로 마시 아니 최니 가지고네 망고진이 얘인데 카노마도스데 다 디고 망고 쉬지 사샤 그랬다 지난 디버사고데 다 샤돔 주 샤과 쳐고래 샤돔 쳐고래 아니 샤돔 쳐고래 당 아시베 편연상 이미 시월체네 아니 샤돔 쳐네 네 단다디 먼저 연라 되지고네 아니 냥엘메데 소다바디 아니 개베신이라데 디리자야게 아니 디리 믹스에 장고에 송어와 와
Yeah.
연라 되지고네 소자 루자지 냥엘메데 소아 알라마라 디슈푸야다 라메 샵도 두야도서 디보타야다 초도 요래 제산데 인자 게지슈데 가신도가 사더와 라메 랍제잡샤
Followed by
냠렌체디 중나 아니 소남시우사 데도게 나 라마라딘베 디리디게 타로라 어다 데베 세부송도 하러
Now then, because our minds are so rough and together with afflictions, then out of that state, we don't really know how to rely properly on the teacher, or we know, but we don't do it because we're lazy. That's also possible. So with that, then comes non-virtues and mistakes. So in this context, we need to purify those things that we've done out of unawareness or laziness, confess and purify. And in the context of confessing and purifying misdeeds, misreliance, then you need to again reflect on the aforementioned benefits of good devotion and the demerits of not relying correctly. Here from the 7 limbs, when we perform the limb of requesting the gurus not to pass into parinirvana, this is for that, to purify that. And and then we offer them long life pujas and so forth. So that's to purify the non-virtue of having incorrectly relied on, having made mistakes. And of course, most important is when you follow the advice of the guru, because when you do that, that creates merit. It also acts as purification of mistakes as well.
어떤 덴데스 이제 아니 댕이나 아니 뒤를 몸이고 봐 아니 예세 따둥으로서 신이된지 개회 신이된지 수술 류종하다 아니 스타 찾아서라 찾아와서 덴데 심축 연구여러 와딘데 연구를 대자마세 아니 신이 다 개회 시시 네 주는 어산신인데 다 신이 신이 된도 신이 가져 되나 명언바제 신이 되냐 돌아배 르론저 계좌배 준비 쉽주에서 정말로 단지 네 신이 어산나시는데 마음방아라서 덴데 차그를 해서와 먼저도 차가 말에 콘서트 메시지를 상당사는 아니야 정말 안다 대콘라다 지금도 상마 녀만은 알아서 나신 탐해버라 레와 깔레 잡제 믹스멘다지 차송으로 하고 깔레 잡는 좀 깔레 잡는 데부터도 이제 야래 미중 깔레 맞아봐 데부터도 이제 요마를 최선 뒤인데 그들라야다 제제다 데 람린 딩 람린 첨모도 전화라다 단도 제보여래 티가도도 카세오고는 남들 라자는 그냥 카세오 거대고여래 오늘들 라제다 간다니 개신이 딘주 남지자와 신이 딘주사데 오다 개 첨보래도 아니 비템베 페마 딘베 니미도 삼나 아니 딘베 페도 삼나 야고도 알아 당선은 심로 바로 쇼음데데 딘베 페도 저데 나 심로 가제를 딘데 마딘베 니미도 저데 이제네 팀야 파레운데 마차르데 야 버제도 다가가네 니 심기 직당용 시와지가는 데알 않고 삼다 요레스 지도나 같은데
And if one proceeds in the above manner, meaning, if there have been mistakes, you confess and purify, and you act in that manner, not long you'll become like the Bodhisattva Sada Prajudita. Here, such a practitioner effortlessly gave up all the body wealth and enjoyments to the guru, and it would be a mistake to think that, well, whilst we can't do it at the moment, that we could not do it in the future because previously these bodhisattvas were like us. It's a mistake to think, oh, only they can do it, they're great beings, we can't. That would be a mistake because the result we're going for only comes with tremendous endurance and effort. And these are highlighted in the greater Lam Rim and also in Pabonka's liberation in the palm of your hand. So then from time to time, it's good for us when we are feeling like down, maybe, to reflect on the root of the path, the benefits of relying, to lift us up. And then sometimes if the mind is too up with pride, immeasurately reflect on the faults of incorrect reliance. So you're trying to make your mind kind of equal equanimity. And you reflect like that.
Oh yeah, that didn't shower.
Yeah, so that would be it for Wednesday. Any query? Murray.
I'm just thinking when the guru doesn't, he kind of see them as a Buddha, but they don't appear to be acting like a Buddha. Like if I was giving the example of his teacher being very quick,
Rough, yeah, and quick to anger. Yeah.
quick to anger, then you go through in your mind at that time. Obviously, you're trying not to develop negative mind, but what's the reasoning to go through?
In that moment, what's the reasoning?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. Keep on track. So the question was to see the Buddha, to try and see the teacher as Buddha, but sometimes they don't act like that, like Ishlag's example of his teacher getting irate. So in that time, when the irritation comes, when the anger or whatever comes, how do you go through that? Keep your mind on track, is it? Yeah. Kisla lama sangye tabu dusherwa. Ine ang kabre wala kirang gegan nangshin sheshe tang lung sapuche. Di kapla kechik dila sim kandis jogre. And a mind tagarang mayengwa jambisiche. Deva mashoya andere.
이라디 맞아 단달라마 탐에베 넘버디 제그레메 지지 탐에노 산제 제그마로 이자데 탐에베 넘버에 다스다 라테리오레 탐에베 넘버 이면요 콘데 셰당 레자 요드 넘버 디디 탐에베디 넘버 데라 샤우르와 어다디 탐에베 넘버 띵기 도스 말라로 되나 말라 산제레 냥 거딘 셔버 인삼 섬단샤나 데벨로에메
Yeah, tagarang gegen la lung lang be kapla tagarang sumla tangi be.
아 게임 롱랑 아니야
Mari kirangi gegen kapri wal
롱랑 베 넘버 데라다
Number 10.
말 딘데 섬 당기요
So when my teacher would show anger or show anger, I would think he's manifesting that. I would think. And also the fact that we can't see Buddhas, right? So we'll only see the teacher that appears in ordinary form, like having afflictions, having anger. So I would recall that he's just showing that aspect.
탐에 넘버디메시 지금 말하는
Yeah, so because we only see ordinary aspect.
제야디
That's all we see.
거딘 철삼다나 니야고도
But also the point is you're going on the kindness side. You're thinking on the kindness.
산제 제거 말에 산제네 최슈도 면도 아니
Yeah, I mean, we can't sit at Buddha's feet. We weren't going to meet him.
단다 데 산제 송야데 데 숨무도 아니 제메 산제 제스는 가르치고 임바스나 최송로 지셔야로 최 단다 기겐 셰야데 셰그레 다로
Yeah, I mean, these were spoken by the Buddha, and if we do meet Buddha directly, what's Buddha going to say? He'll say, practice Dharma. So that's what the spiritual friend is saying.
지구지기야로다
Same exactly.
어디에 삼다나
So if you think like that.
오예 나되죠
Thank you.
Page 31.
산제
I did have all the rights of the first.
아멘도 많이 다니는 윤서에서 되는 거지.